This week's blogging video is all about why I only recommend starting a self-hosted WordPress blog. I am so strict about this. I think there is no other way that is worth you starting a blog that is not this way. And so it comes with a lot of questions because I am so set in my ways about this. So let's dig into it and get this video started. My name is Sophia. I have the blog by Sophia Lee. It is a 7-figure-a-year blog. So we make over $1 million a year on the blog, which is insane. I've been able to start multiple businesses from the blog, and I started it when I was a sophomore in college. And so that was 5 years ago, and in the last 5 years, I've learned so much. But one of the things that I constantly go back to is I've made so many mistakes in this blogging journey of mine, but one thing that I did really, really well was how I actually started my blog. And the whole reason I started my blog the way that I did was because that is how all of the other really successful bloggers that I was following had their blog set up. And so I'm a stalker, so I did a ton of stalking on like how they did it, and I basically just like copied how they did it. And I look back and thank myself so much because it has saved me so many headaches. And I think it's really important there. If I am like passionate about one thing, well, actually I'm passionate about two things. Take courses because you'll save so much time. There are so many different price levels of courses. So there's courses for $10, there's courses for thousands of dollars. So you can find one that fits in your budget category, but they're so worth it and will help you grow your blog way faster. And then two, the other thing that I'm passionate about blogging is how you actually start your blog, and that you need to start on a self-hosted WordPress website. So I already kind of said let's get into it, but now that that spiel is over, let's get into like my main talking points about this. First up, the difference between a self-hosted blog versus a hosted blog. So the easiest way to explain it, it gets confusing, even I confuse myself about this, and the easiest way that I've found for people to understand is a self-hosted blog is something that you own, where a hosted blog is something that you rent. And there's so many variables in blogging that the things that you can own, like a self-hosted blog and your email list, are two of the most important things that you can cling on to, because so many of the other things like Pinterest, algorithms, and other things you have no control over. So I love that own versus rent analogy, and I think it is so important to really think about. So like a hosted website, which is one that I don't recommend, a hosted website is like bysophialee.blogspot.com, a Wix website, I'm trying to think of like the other ones, like basically it'd be like bysophialee.wix.com, and I by far recommend only starting a WordPress blog. So there's multiple self-hosted WordPress blogs that you can go into. It's like so confusing. It's basically like a 2-step. So I'm just kind of gonna explain exactly how I did it. And for any of the businesses that we start, this is how we still start like our websites for these businesses. So like I said, I researched a ton of like the most successful bloggers. All of them are starting on Bluehost. Now there's also like is SiteGround one? Yeah, I think SiteGround is one. So there's like a ton of different ones. I'd love to hear in the comments like what other people are using, but I started on Bluehost because that's what everyone recommended, and I had such a great experience with it. I have a full-on like written up long blog post on the exact steps that I did. That's just way easier to follow than like me mumbling through this all right here, so we'll have that linked in the bio. But Bluehost is like the Walmart version of a hosted website. So it gets like Bluehost is by far the one of the most cheap ways to start a self-hosted WordPress blog. And my whole thought process is do not spend money on a blogging host until you know for a fact that you're going to keep up with blogging, because so many people start blogs and then they give up, and then it would be a total waste of money. So I started my my self-host on Bluehost. That is connected to WordPress. So if you start a Bluehost blog, and I believe this is the same way with like SiteGround and stuff, you automatically have a self-hosted WordPress blog. They're gonna try to upgrade you or like upcharge you to get to different levels by the cheapest level, and I personally recommend not getting any of like the extra add-ons. You can add on the add-ons later, but they add up really quick, and for like the self-hosted, just like what you should be getting, in my opinion, it's like $30-ish. And the other stuff you can add on later if you become successful with your blog. So Bluehost is like the Walmart version, then you have like the Target version, and then you have like the Nordstrom version is how I like to say. So once we got like 200,000 page views a month, which like that took a while to get there. So we had Bluehost for a really long time. We then switched over to Big Scouts. Big Scouts, we really don't know what it doesn't really matter. It's one of those two. And we needed to switch over at that point because we were getting so many page views, and the Bluehost started to not be sufficient for the site speed that we needed it to be. Pros, our website got faster. Cons, Big Scoots is so much more expensive. I mean, we spend thousands of dollars a month, or not a month, a year on, a month would be outrageous, a year on Big Scoots for our host. Whereas Bluehost, it was $30 a year. So obviously, as you grow and as we started to make a lot more money with the blog, that investment made sense. But if you're just starting out, get one of the cheaper hosts. You don't need it, but you do need to get a self-hosted WordPress website. Okay, that's my first point. Okay, now why is it so important? Because you can control everything. So for like the hosted websites, they have full control of your stuff. You can only do certain things. If they wanted to shut down your website one day, they absolutely could. You do not own it. You are renting your blog essentially. And that can be pretty scary. And then another thing that is really big is that with WordPress, you can use plugins. And we use so many plugins on our website. In our Perfecting Blogging course, we have listed out all of the plugins that we religiously use. But you need to have a WordPress website to use those plugins. Plugins is how so much of the blogging world does things. Another example, when you do sponsorships or get into an ad agency, this is huge. They require or ask right up front, what is your host? Are you self-hosted or are you on a host? And the reason that they ask that, at least that this is why I'm figuring that they ask that, is because they need you to be on a self-hosted website so that you can add in their plugin. So like we're on Mediavine for our ad agency, and how it works is we added in a WordPress plugin to allow it to work. So that is like major and one of the top reasons why you should have a self-hosted WordPress blog. And then lastly, you just have so much more freedom, so you can make your website look a lot more professional. Obviously, it's gonna look a lot more professional if you don't have like .showspace or .wix.com, you know, like at the end of your website. But even like within it too, you will make it look a lot more professional. Like I know that I like put together a in college I like was an interior design major, so I had to put together a portfolio, and I did it on a Wix website, which was great for that. But it would say at the top like, this is a Wix website. Like that obviously doesn't make your website look like legit. So the self-hosted WordPress blog is definitely the way to go. I promise you, you'll be thanking yourself. And if you do start on a Wix website or one of the other hosted websites, and then you decide to switch over to a self-hosted one, you totally can do that, but it is such a bitch to switch over things. It's just like moving out of, I'm in the middle of moving right now, so I know how painful this is. It's just like moving out of a house or an apartment into another home. It is so painful, and you will just wish that you did this from the beginning. So I'm really patting myself on the back for how I started my blog back in the day. Thank you, Sophie, and thank you to the bloggers that told me to do that. So I'm passing it forward and telling you, I hope you thought that this was helpful. Like I said, there are so many different hosts. I just only speak on what I've had experience with and what I've had luck with. And so I have in the description a blog post that goes over the exact steps, the exact plan that I think you should be buying, etc. And I think that that is really helpful. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Excuse how messy our office is. We're moving into our next restoration. Well, I'm not moving, but we're moving all the furniture into the next restoration in like 3 weeks, so our office is an absolute shit show right now. But it doesn't matter. At least we have, it's not the content that matters. So I'll see you at next week's video. Check out the courses, and I hope you like this video.